Hi, this is Bob. This was kind of a spur-of-the-moment project that I did about, I would say 4 months ago. It just was an idea, and I happened to acquire some really nice crystal filters. Now, these crystal filters are Heathkit crystal filters, and I built this device, and I just threw it together so you can see. It's a, how should I put it, an engineering type prototype built on a circuit board. I made the little isolated pads using my Black & Decker mini grinder, which is very much like a Dremel mini grinder with a small carbide rasp, and just cut. You can see in here that's a pad there that I made, and I just cut through. This is double-sided circuit board. I just cut through and made little pads where I needed them. And this is composed of very many different types of circuits. There are two SBL1 mixers in here. The signal comes in here. We've got a connector right back here. This is a F-type connector like they use on cable TV. And that goes over to my BC348 receiver, and it's coupled to the grid of the last IF stage with a 30 picofarad capacitor, and that is in the BC348. And I mounted the similar F chassis connector in one of the phono headphones jacks on the left bottom of the BC348. I still have the other one there, which is functional, and that way I didn't have to cut any holes in the BC348 or modify anything. I just connected the little 30 picofarad capacitor, run a little wire over to the what do you call it, F connector, chassis connector, and that was it. Put the BC348 back together. I did align that IF stage. There's a transformer there feeding that last IF stage tube, and I took the signal off of the grid. I didn't want to mess around with having the plate voltage on there, so I took the signal off the grid and supplied that to that output jack. And like I say, I did realign that IF using the signal generator at 915 kilohertz, and I just forced the signal through from my generator, calibrated generator at 915 kilohertz, and just peaked that one IF transformer. So that's how I got the signal out. And this I am showing as an example, a show and tell, if you would. That's what I would call it. I'm not showing this as something, as a construction article or whatever. Some people may have a BC348. I just wanted to show you what could be done. And like I say, it's not a construction article or anything like that. I don't have a schematic. I just put these things together. This has an SBL1 mixer right here. The 915 kilohertz, 915 kilohertz signal comes in here to the SBL1, comes out of this little toroidal transformer here. That feeds down here. So it comes in here at 915 kilohertz. There is a crystal right down here, which I ground for 4.310. There it is, right there. I ground that crystal to 4.310. It was 3.8 or something like that. I ground it to that frequency so I could make this project. And the oscillator is right here. And the circuit I use for the oscillator is right out of the Heathkit SB104. And then that signal feeds with a capacitor into this first SBL1 mixer, which is right down there. You can see it underneath here, right in there. And then that takes that signal, which is then transposed or mixed to 3.395 for the Heathkit filters. Now I happen to have 3 Heathkit filters of the type that would be used in the HW101 or SB104. I have a 2.1 and a 400 and a 200. If you wanted to build something like this, I would say don't bother making 3 of them like that with 3 filters. I use the 400 mostly all the time. It's plenty narrow enough and works really good. So If you can get a hold of a 400 or a 2.1, 2.1 is a lot more narrow than what the BC348 receiver is. So that is a great improvement right there. But if you can get a hold of a 400 hertz, that would be a good one. And just, if you wanted to make it, just make it with one filter. Don't make it so complex and much more hard to build. And so that has that oscillator, 4.130, I believe it is. No, 4.310 megahertz crystal there. And like I say, I ground that myself, and then that feeds the SBL1 there. It comes out at 3.395. The output signal then goes through an MC1350 IC, which is upside down right in here. And that's connected to this gain control right here. I didn't have the same type of knobs to use on all these. I just used what I had. This little case I bought at a Hamfest. It had a bunch of holes in it already. I used some of the holes that were already there, so I didn't bother with changing things around to make it look really good or anything like that. I just mounted my controls where I could, and I used the controls that I could, that I had. And let's see, like I say, it comes through this MC1350 IC amplifier, goes through that, and then when we come out of the filters are mounted right in here, 1, 2, 3 next to each other. You can see the filters. One of them's right there, but they're all three in a line right there. Then when you come out of the filters, there is another SBL1 mixer right under here. And that mixer then takes the output of the filters, and it is a detector. Let's see, the detector is, I've got the detector and I'm pointing to the wrong location. The detector's right over in here. And I used an SBL1 as a product detector. You can get circuits for these things on the internet, and that's what I did. And I got the circuits for the little oscillators and all on the internet, and I just interconnected them like I would normally think they would be connected, and everything started working, and so that's the way it is. I do not have a schematic. I don't intend to make a schematic of this unit, but like I say, it's a show and tell. And I was asked at a picnic, Heathkit, a reunion picnic by my friend Ron. He says you ought to make a little video on that and show what you did, and so that's what I'm doing. And what else? So we come out of this this third SBL1 mixer. Is there 3 of them? Let's see. I gotta look. No, there is 2 SBL1 mixers. Excuse me. There's one that converts the 915 to 3.395 back here. There's an amplifier for 3.395, an MC1350, and I'm running back through this stuff. Then you come into the detector, which is a product detector, SBL1 doubly balanced mixer, and that then the output feeds an LM386 audio amplifier, and this is already built on a little circuit board. I bought it on eBay. It was really cheap. I think like $2.95 or something like that, including shipping from Hong Kong. I do buy things from Hong Kong, and I found the products to be every bit as good as what I get from the USA. In fact, I like their prices and everything. They ship really good, and those guys have done really good by me, the Chinese vendors, on the few items that I buy from them. And so I bought a couple of these LM386 amplifiers on a little tiny circuit board. I hooked it up, and boy does it work nice. Plenty of audio. It'll blow your ears apart there when you put it on, put the headphones in. So you got to be careful how much volume you run. So the volume for that LM386 amplifier is this black knob here. This one here controls the LM1350 RF amplifier, IF amplifier, and then the control here switches the 3 different crystal filters. And that's it. Then the oscillators, there's a lower sideband and upper sideband right here. And the upper sideband crystal, of course these were Heathkit reject crystals that I bought at a Hamfest a long time ago. I just had a couple of them, but they were way off frequency. I actually unsoldered the cases. I cleaned them up with some alcohol. I rubbed them with a pencil eraser to get them to go a little higher in frequency. Then I put them all back together in the circuit, and I had them in the circuit when I did those adjustments so that I could get them right on frequency in the circuit they would be used. And there's a trimmer here for each one of the crystals. There's one here for the upper sideband, one for the lower sideband. And you use the upper sideband crystal for CW. The oscillator is the upper sideband for CW. And boy, does it sound nice on sideband if you flip it to the lower sideband crystal and tune in a sideband signal. And the BC348 I found is very, very stable if you let it warm up about 20 minutes or so. I sometimes come down here and I'll be doing something in the basement. I'll flip on the BC348 and the ARC5 transmitter that I use with it, which is very much modified too for stability. Then I let it run while I'm doing something else, and then I go over there and I'll flip in the antenna and get on the air. I've made a lot of contacts with the ARC5 transmitter and the BC348. I'm using an external heterodyne VFO for the ARC5 and just feeding it into the grids of the 1625 tubes. I get rock solid stability that way, and the VFO is keyed. There's a buffer stage. The VFO runs all the time, and I'm keying the buffer stage in the VFO that feeds the 1625 tubes in the ARC5. And I get beautiful, beautiful CW that way. So I've gotten many, many comments from guys about how nice the CW sounds. So this stuff was just thrown together, and there was a lot of playing and rinky-dinking around before I got it all working. I just got one stage working, then I get another stage working, then I get another stage working, and just worked my way through from the input all the way through to the audio output. I guess that's as much as I can give you on that. And let's see, what else? I guess that's it. And I just got a simple LED here. I just stuck through the hole and I just glued it in there with some RTV silicone rubber glue. Actually some gasket sealing compound, I think it was, in a tube. And then select the crystals here. I did not build separate oscillators for upper sideband, lower sideband, like you would see in the SB104. I just built the one oscillator and I just changed the crystals. And each crystal then has got a trimmer on it so that I can adjust each one separately. There's just two of them there. And what else? I guess that's it, guys. I just wanted to show what you can do with the junk box stuff that's laying around. And what kicked this whole thing off was the fact that I had acquired those 3 Heathkit crystal filters. And I thought, wow, that'd be interesting. And boy, does it make that BC348 work nice. Like I say, after it warms up for 20 minutes or a half an hour, the stability is super. And I'm able to tune people in just great. I use the 200 Hertz filter and the 400 Hertz filter. If you got a guy on CW, you tune him in to the middle of the signal that's loud on the 348. Just tune above, tune below, set the knob halfway, and then take the VFO and tune for the same audio pitch, and you are zero beated very close to his frequency, and it only takes a few seconds, which is really nice. I also like the fact that the crystal filters allow you or are used to select upper or lower sideband, so that when you're tuning in a guy on CW, you only hear the one side. You don't hear a beat above and a beat below like you would normally on the BC348. If you've got the upper sideband crystal on, then you will hear only the upper sideband portion, which is what you want for CW. That makes it a lot nicer. So anyways, I just wanted to do this, like I say, as a show and tell, because it turned out to be just a fantastically nice working piece of equipment. It looks pretty crummy in there. I mean, I did a lot of messing around and a lot of soldering and resoldering and all that. And it looks like I used a lot of solder, but when you do this kind of construction and you're using a nice hot soldering iron, you will find the solder just flows out on there really nice and makes larger soldered connections to the board than what I would normally want, because there is no masking to hold that solder in a small place. So it just flows out. So there's a lot of silvery looking things in there from all that flow of solder on the board. And what else? I guess that's it. I think I've covered pretty much everything there. But just wanted to do this and just show it because my friend had asked about that. He lives down in Florida and he wouldn't be able to come over here and see it, so he can see it on the internet now on YouTube. So that's it. This is what, 6 minutes and 35 seconds at this point. Well, that's it, guys. Everybody take care. Stay healthy, everybody. 73s and good DX.